So how do you actually plan your dream trip around the world by motorcycle? Where do you start? What do you need to do before you go? How long do you take to plan it? What do I need to take into account? In this vid, I'll cover the lot and get you well on your way to your trip of a lifetime. So subscribe, sit back, stay a while, and let's get on with it. Hello to each and every one of you. Thanks very much for stopping by, and a huge thank you to everyone who's joined the clan over on the Patreon page. Welcome to the first vid in the series about planning your dream trip around the world by motorcycle, where we'll get you well on your way to your trip of a lifetime. In this vid, we're going to cover the planning stage, everything you need to take into account before you go. If you want to jump forward to one of these specific topics, check out the timestamp in the description below, and you can just fast forward to whatever topic you like. Let's kick this off with the basics then. Where do you want to go? The world is a big old beautiful lump of rock, full of just the most amazing places and people to see. Chuck in the added thrill of motorcycle travel and you've got yourself the ultimate dream trip of a lifetime. Literally, the world is your lobster. Where you go is totally down to you. It doesn't even have to have a road. You just make your own way and deal with whatever it throws at you. For me, I just started with a big old wall map that I pinned to my living room wall. I knew I was starting in London as that's where I lived, so I just stuck a pin in there, then began sticking in pins everywhere I wanted to go around the world. For me, it was MotoGP circuits, certain cities and tourist spots I wanted to see, specific roads I wanted to ride, friends and family I knew who'd said I should stop by on my travels, all these kind of things. I just kept sticking in pins and eventually a route just sort of presented itself. At this stage, don't worry about border crossings or anything like that. This is your dream trip, so just plot where you want to go. Simple as that. Now you've got where you want to go, you need to work out a rough order to it all, which in turn will present a general route. Something you need to bear in mind when planning a route for motorcycle travel is the general seasons where you'll be. There's not much point in hitting Mongolia in the winter or wet season, unless you really are Sir Ranulph Fiennes or Jacques Lucasson. So try to follow the spring, summer, autumn seasons throughout your travel. Depending on your route and how long you'll be travelling for, that may mean you have to hit some places in the extreme heat or cold. But if you're travelling the world and have a set timescale, you may not be able to avoid it. However, forewarned is forearmed. And don't forget the 5 Ps. As ever, Google is your friend, so just check out the seasons and general climate of the countries you want to go to, and keep these in mind when you plan your starting date. Once you have an idea of where and when you want to go, then you've got to work out your main border crossings and sea crossing points. Generally, wherever a road enters or exits a country, there will be a border checkpoint there. So in general, it's best to aim for the main crossing points for the least hassle. But sometimes the complete opposite is true. Your best bet here is to use the holy bible of overland travel, which is Horizons Unlimited. Head there, aim for something called the Hub, a limitless supply of info on where to cross, what the standard procedure is for each country, as well as reports from people who are actually crossing there as we speak. It really is an invaluable resource. For some countries, you'll have to get your visas in advance. The likes of Russia, Kazakhstan, and a lot of African countries generally require this. You can sort all this out yourself, and again, there is lots of information available over on Horizons Unlimited, but for me, I just used a company that specialised in this, and they took all the drama, or most of it, out of the equation, letting me concentrate on everything else. I used travcore.com, but there's lots of alternatives available. Again, Google is your friend. You'll need to tell them where you're going and roughly for how long, and they'll work out the logistics that best facilitate your trip. Bear in mind that this will be an added cost though, on top of the cost of the actual visas, so you'll have to factor that into your budget for the trip. We'll cover budget in the next vid in this series. If you decide to do it all yourself, as many have, do as much research online as you can for each country you want to go to, determining things like visa requirements, how long do they take to get, where do you get them from, how long will they last, and is there a specific date you must enter the country by and leave by? Again, Russia is a prime example, but once again, Google and Horizons Unlimited are your friends. Visas can be really daunting at first, but remember, there are thousands of people who've gone before you and will continue to go, so they're not impossible. This is your first step into a whole new world, so embrace it and just go for it. When travelling around the world by motorcycle, officially you must have a Carne de passage to get your bike into and out of certain countries. Now I say officially because there's plenty of people out there who have and currently are travelling without one, or they've acquired one from some bloke they met in a pub. The Carne de passage is a legal document that allows you to temporarily import your vehicle into a country duty-free without having to pay a deposit against import charges. Basically, it's a guarantee that you won't take your bike into a country, sell it for a huge profit and not pay the duty due. Now these things are changing all the time, so it's always worth checking to see what the state of play is with the Carne in your issuing country. It sounds complicated, and it certainly can be, but again, it's not impossible, otherwise there's no way somebody like me would have done it. Check the link below for more info on the Carne. When you get to a stretch of land or water that you can't ride across or you don't want to ride across, you've got two options: sea or air freight. Again, research is key here, things change all the time, but Google and Horizons Unlimited once again are your friends. Sea freight is certainly cheaper, but you need to weigh things up. How long will it take to ship by sea versus what will your living costs be during that time? For example, to ship from South America to Australia could take anywhere up to 3 months. So that's 3 months that you're going to be living in a tent, in a hostel, in a motel or hotel, your food, your lodgings, everything like that. Now that's definitely going to be cheaper in South America compared to Australia, so you need to weigh all these things up. Again, I'll be covering the budget in the next vid in this series, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when the next video is live. Shipping by air is more expensive, but generally your bike will fly with you on the same flight, or within a few days, so you won't have the extra cost of living expenses sea freight will bring. I also found air terminals were far easier to deal with and much less complex, and there was certainly a lot less local taxes to deal with. You just bung the handler a couple of quid, they keep the forklift driver and the clerks happy, and everything generally goes very smoothly. You just need to be patient, but you're talking hours within a day rather than days, which is what can happen with sea freight. Of course, if you're a real adventure geek and you want to do things on the tightest budget possible, you could always try and find a cargo freight captain who will let you and your bike travel on board with them in return for a little bit of free manual labour aboard the ship. Believe me, this is an option and it has been done many times before. This is entirely down to you really. How long do you want to be away for? Do you have financial or personal commitments that you've got to get back for, such as a wedding, a big birthday or major family occasion? I was lucky enough to be granted a career break, which means I get a set period of unpaid leave and I have to come back within a set date, providing certain conditions are met and there's a job still open to me. Maybe this is an option for you. Have a chat with your boss, you never know. If you don't ask. Budget is another factor here. How long can you afford to sustain yourself for? I'll cover how to work all this out in the next vid in the series. But as a general rule of thumb, places like Europe are going to be the most expensive to travel through per day, and the likes of Southeast Asia, well, more than likely they'll be the cheapest. You can survive on £20 a day in Southeast Asia. That's food, fuel, lodgings, all in. Whereas you'll be looking at £100 to £150 a day in Europe. It's a big difference. Now you can drastically reduce those costs, and I'll cover that in the next vid in the series. But a good start is to visit budgetyourtrip.com, which will give you a good idea of local daily living costs all over the world. So where does your route take you, and how long are you planning to spend in each place? How long do you think it will take you to cover the route that you're planning? Have you even got a route, or are you just going to turn up and see what way the road takes you? Are you a hardened seasoned rider who thinks nothing of 500 to 1,000 miles a day? Or do you prefer to take the road less travelled and 50 miles a day is more reasonable? You've got to factor all this in when you're determining how long you're going to be away for. Or you could be really lucky and you don't even have a set end date. You're just going to play it by ear. There are plenty of people out there travelling right now doing just that. This is what almost everybody sees as their limiting factor here. I can't afford it. Now I'm not saying it's cheap, because it's not, but it is achievable, and this is supposed to be your ultimate dream of a lifetime, something you've set your entire being on. If it was easy, then absolutely everybody would be doing it. but it is achievable. Again, I'll be going into way more detail in the next vid in this series, so subscribe, hit the bell icon, and you'll get notified when it's live. For now though, have a think about what you actually need to survive on this trip. There's food, fuel, lodgings, shipping, insurances, vaccinations, visas, and everything else associated with the trip itself. But do you have any ongoing financial commitments at home, like a mortgage, maintenance for children or ex-spouses? Do you own your bike, or do you still have outstanding finance on it? Get all this in hand in time for the next vid in the series, where we'll go through it all, work out your budget, and figure out some ways to try and meet it. Remember, you're actually travelling by motorcycle here, so you're somewhat restricted about what you can take, unless you're taking a sidecar. But that's actually a good thing. Almost everyone starts with way too much kit, no matter how many times you pack, repack and repack again before you go. Initially, you'll try to plan for every eventuality, and maybe you're one of those people who simply has to have every box ticked before they go. But this will all add to your luggage and ultimately affect both the handling of your bike and limit where you can go with it. I did my entire 74,000 mile, 442 day, 54 country trip with no more than 4 t-shirts, 3 pairs of pants and 3 pairs of socks. I even dumped some of that halfway round. Keep your clothing as light and multi-purpose as possible, and don't forget there are shops everywhere. Wherever there are people, there'll be somewhere to get either something repaired or replaced, so don't worry about it. If it's likely to be cold at some point through your trip, don't take all your cold weather gear as you're going through deserts and 40-degree heat. Just get some either on the way or just before you'll think you'll need it. It'll more likely be cheaper than at home anyway, and will save you on shipping costs as your biking kit won't be as heavy. You could even get it sent to a friend or family member en route and pick it up as you pass through. Take the bare essential tools and be realistic about your mechanical abilities. I took some Allen keys, a multi-tool, some spare bearings for my wheels, and the rear spindle socket. That was it. If you think your bike's not riding too clever, use Google to find a bike shop ahead of you in the route and aim for it. If you break down, then wait for someone to come by and help. That's what motorcycle adventure travel is all about, and that's when the trip really does come alive for you. It'd be boring if absolutely nothing happened and you just went from place to place with nothing unexpected ever happening. You may as well go on a package holiday. I've actually already done a vid on how to pack for an around the world adventure, so check it out and let me know what you think in the comments below. Wow, now this is a topic that's sure to get the blood boiling around the campfire or pub table. It depends on so many variables really. How much luggage do you want to take? Are you taking a pillion? How comfortable do you want to go? How much off-roading do you want to do? The list just goes on and on. But the best advice ever given to me on this topic was this: take whatever bike makes you smile. And it's 100% correct, as when you're having a really crappy day, the weather is foul, the road is either non-existent or really hard going, you've run out of fuel and you're having to push it along. That bike has to have some connection with you, otherwise you may as well dump it, move on and pick up another one. Now that may well be your plan, and there's nothing wrong with that, but if you want to end the trip with the bike you started, take whatever bike you enjoy riding and don't listen to anyone that tells you that's the wrong bike. There's no such thing. Okay folks, that should be enough to get you started. Tune into the next vid in the series where we'll cover budgeting and how to meet it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like the video and leave me some comments about what you think. Check out the show notes in the description down below for links to everything covered here and a few more. See you soon, and remember, live your life.